So, hello everyone, and welcome to STW Sports and CT Sports podcast. And I'm Samuel Wright, joined by Callum Tofts, and we are going to do our predictions for this weekend's WrestleMania 38. I cannot believe it's WrestleMania 38. It seems crazy. The years just keep on going faster, to be honest. I think I've done every WrestleMania live now since 28. So just seems madness to think we're at another one. It is, of course, again, 2 nights this year, which we will be predicting night by night. And before we get into predictions, Callum, how are you feeling about this year's WrestleMania?
I think a lot better than I did after Royal Rumble. You know, we had our Royal Rumble watch on, which was really entertaining. But I think, looking back on it, we both agreed there was a lot of improvement and it had to be coming up to WrestleMania. And I think they've done well what they have done. Some very exciting matches and some very odd ones and some ones you kind of knew were going to happen. But I think overall, there's a lot of exciting matches this weekend. And I definitely think there's going to be a few big pops and a few surprises considering, you know, there's not many big stars on the show that we expected returns and stuff. So I reckon there'll be a few returns and hopefully some big surprises on the night. So I'm looking forward to it. I think if you gave me this at the end of January, I would happily take this WrestleMania going into it. So it's going to be interesting to see this Monday night who's, you know, champion and who's come out victorious on WrestleMania. So I can't wait. It's going to be really interesting. And we are going to be doing watch-alongs for both nights as well. So that'll be really interesting. And hopefully you guys can join us as well for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very, very exciting. We're all going to start with night one. And the first match I'm going to bring up is the Raw Women's Championship. Well, Raw Women's Championship, yes. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belaire. Now, this is a very interesting one, of course. Becky Lynch made a return at SummerSlam and beat Bianca Belaire very quickly, quite controversially as well. I personally think it should be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. But obviously, it's not a bad one to have Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belaire. What's your prediction for this one, Callum?
It's a tough one because I was looking at, you know, like you were saying, I was expecting it to be the other way around. I thought it would be Lynch versus Rousey and then Belaire versus Flair. That was my prediction going into it months and months ago when Rousey won the Rumble. But it's a bit weird, this storyline. You know, you've got the whole thing about hair, which is really weird in my opinion. You know, you got, you know, last Monday, you know, Becky getting her hair cut, and it's a very weird angle to go down, but it's different, you know. They needed to change it up from the other game matches they've had in the past, but I can see Bianca Belaire winning. I think, you know, Becky's held the title for a while, and I think just something different for her now, I think would be good. You know, Belaire hasn't really had a title run much in a way. You know, she's had some good moments and some big wins, but nothing really cements herself as a really good main event player as it stands, in my opinion. So I think a win at WrestleMania would be brilliant for her, and a long title run, maybe into the next new year, would do really well and do a good. So I can see, you know, that happening, but I wouldn't be mind if Becky Lynch won either way.
Yeah, see, I think Bianca Belaire will win this. I think this will be a career-defining win for Belaire. I'm a big fan of Becky Lynch, but I think at this point, I don't really think she needs to hold on to the title beyond WrestleMania. She's done quite well with it. She's returned and looked back to her old self, really. She's not really missed a beat in the ring. She took a while off due to pregnancy and obviously with having a baby with Seth Rollins. But yeah, I think Bianca Belaire needs it. She's obviously a big star, and she could be the next, the next big generation of women to take the company forward. And obviously, before this, we had the likes of Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bailey, and even a couple more. But I think Bianca Belaire needs this win, and I am saying Bianca Belaire will get the win here as well. I think she needs it more than Becky, and I hope that they don't make the same mistakes they did with Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania 36, where her and Becky had a very underwhelming match, really, and Becky obviously won. So hopefully they give Belaire the big win here, and I think this could be one of the best matches over the 2 nights. Next up, we have Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Callum on my screen right now is smiling, and I think that's how we all feel about this. Weird storyline, kind of a bizarre storyline. What are your thoughts going into it, Callum?
It's one of the matches where they're filler matches, but I'm quite looking forward to it. I think you know what you're going to get with Rey Mysterio and The Miz, and Dominic Mysterio, in my opinion, is a future champion, and I think, you know, after this, he needs a singles run, in my opinion. And I think that would do him really good. Maybe a father-on-son feud or something like that, but that's in the future. But you look at I'm going to kind of analyze a bit more on Logan Paul because he's a YouTuber. He's this social media guy. I've seen a bit of him online, and I watched his Mayweather. He fought Mayweather in a boxing fight and done really well, in my opinion. And he's had a few boxing fights here and there and everything. And watching like the stuff over social media last week, he looks like he can wrestle. He's a wrestling champion in high school back in Cleveland, which is where the Miz is from. He's a state champion in that, which is the same that Lesnar has in wrestling, which you kind of when you compare them both. It seems like he can do it, and I'm excited to see what he can do. You always have this celebrity person on WrestleMania who sometimes they don't really shine that well, but I think Logan will hold his own, especially with Mysterio and The Miz being, future Hall of Famers, in my opinion, will carry him and help him out with them. Yeah, I think Dominic Mysterio will come into play. I think for a tag match, this has got a lot of potential, in my opinion. I think it can go above and beyond. I think it's going to be one of the best matches on night one, in my opinion, overall, and it's a big thing to have. But I think you've got them three and the athleticism of Logan Paul in the ring. It can be very good, in my opinion. I think there's going to be the end of the feud. I don't think there's nothing after this, but I can see it being a really good match. I'm going to predict Mysterio and Dominic to win. I think it's kind of obvious they're going to, but I think it's going to be a really good match overall.
Yeah, see, I'm going to go for Miz and Logan Paul to win, I think that I agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to say that with a twist. I think an inevitable breakup between Rey Mysterio and Dominic is coming soon, and I can see that being at WrestleMania. I can possibly see Rey Mysterio accidentally costing Dominic the match, maybe, and I can see Dominic then turning on his father and then them having a feud going forward. That would certainly be interesting. I just think, obviously, like you say, they've not really had anything in this feud, Rey Mysterio and Dominic, from what I've seen. So it usually, when that happens, it does mean that they win at WrestleMania and the faces get their happy ending. But I've just got a feeling Miz and Logan Paul are still going to win, I've just got a feeling that they're just going to pull a bit of a swerve and they're going to be the ones to come out on top. So, yeah, I have to disagree with you on that one. But it's going to be a good match. I don't think it'll be a classic by any means. I think it'll be a standard match. There might be a little bit of comedy in there as well, but I think the comedy spot's going to be saved for night two, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But, so I'm going to say Miz and Logan Paul to win, but I'm expecting quite a good match and hope, and maybe a potential breakup between the Mysterios after, which will be very intriguing going forward and start, as you said, a Dominic singles push. Next up, we have Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. To be honest, I don't really care about this match, and I'm sure many people feel the same. I mean, I think Drew McIntyre deserves better. With all due respect to Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, don't really see why Drew's anything to do with them heading into the biggest show of the year. I mean, what's your prediction for this one?
I've always been the one who likes Baron Corbin in the ring. I think he's good on the mic. He's a good wrestler, and I think personally he's one of the most underrated wrestlers the WWE has got at the moment. I'd hate his gimmicks they've had. They've had King Corbin. The Lone Wolf gimmick for me was the main one I really liked to Baron Corbin. And when he won Money in the Bank a few years ago, I thought they're going to push him. And I was really excited to see where that can go. It hasn't delivered, and they're kind of at a loss at him, I think. And I'm worried he's that kind of wrestler that will get released in a few years and go and be this massive star in other companies. I hope that's not the case, but I can see it happening. I think Happy Corbin, I'm going to call him Corbin. I don't really want to call him Happy Corbin, but there you go. I'm going to say Corbin's going to win this. I think McIntyre, I think after the loss, he was going to turn heel again. I think he's been face a while now, and he's a good face, don't get me wrong, but I think as a heel, he's so much better. So I think it needs a change up and maybe another title push, and maybe whoever's going to win the WWE Championship or Universal Night 2 can feud with McIntyre. I think, go into maybe he wins Money in the Bank in a few months and it kind of changes. This match is a filler match, and I think it should go Corbin's way to boost him up a bit more. I think McIntyre doesn't need it, but I would like to see, McIntyre have a single big push in a few matches time or a few months down the line. I think it will do him good to change his persona a little bit. I think Corbin should change back to how he was instead of this, money gimmick, in my opinion. So I can see Corbin winning this.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, it's a match that certainly lacks intrigue, in my opinion. I'm actually going to go for a Drew McIntyre win just because I do think Drew will get a singles push, whether that's as a face or a heel. I do agree with you, though, Callum. I think that Drew has been a face for a while now, and I think Drew's face turn was kind of built off the fact that obviously he was in the company before, it didn't work out for him, and now obviously he's obviously then he won the title off Lesnar at WrestleMania in a very good moment. Would have been much better in front of fans, but obviously unfortunate circumstances stopped that happening. But yeah, no, I do think Drew does need to turn back, but I can see Drew winning this and then going after one of the providing obviously there's only one title after this Mania, obviously, but Drew could even go after the title. So I think Drew will win this and go on to better feuds, especially on SmackDown, where they really lack star power and people for Roman Reigns to feud with, especially. And I think Drew will be that next challenger, whether it's for the title or whether they just have a little bit of a feud. But I do agree on Corbin. I think the guy's lost so much momentum now for me, though I just don't really care about him because he's had so many bad gimmicks since, losing his briefcase to Jinder Mahal, which was in 2017 now. So, yeah, it reminds me of when he faced Elias. Baron Corbin faced Elias at WrestleMania 36 and no one really cared. This is kind of a match that has a similar feel to it, but I think Drew will get the win and he will go on to better things. And as for Corbin, I'm not too sure what he'll do after, but hopefully a gimmick change comes and he gets something a little bit different. But yeah, I'm going to disagree again. I'm going to go with the Drew McIntyre win. Next up, we have the Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Obviously, Usos have been champions a very long time now. They seem to be tag team champions all the time. And Nakamura, it's been a breath of fresh air, really, Nakamura and Boogs' stuff, in my opinion. So this is a good title match, a bit of a fresh one as well for the Smackdown Tag Titles. Who are you going for?
It's a tough one. I think I like the Usos, but they've been champs for so long, and I'm not going to spoil my predictions for later on, but I can see this being the end of the bloodline and the family and the tribal chief family gimmick anyway. I can see the Usos losing this, personally. And I think Nakamura and I can't the other guy, they need, I think, yeah, thank you, yeah. I think they can win. I think it'll be a really good tag team champions, really. And I think going down the line, it's something different than the Usos always winning it. And you just need a change, in my opinion. I think this is the team to do it. You've had, certain teams over the years that haven't really, you can't see them winning, but I can see this team being a really good tag team for a while. And I think Nakamura needs it. He's had a few iffy years over the year and, times where you think they could get released here and, it's not really gone to plan, but I can see this actually being a really good match. And overall, having two tag matches on the first night, it's going to be interesting to see how well they can pull both off, but I can see this one being Nakamura's to win.
Interesting call, but I'm actually going to go for the Usos. I'm going to disagree with you again, the third time in 4 predictions. But the reason I say that is I do agree it could be the end of the bloodline, but I think they're going to give Usos a bit of momentum. And I do like Nakamura's gimmick at the moment. It's kind of been a bit of breath of fresh air. He's a face again, has been for a while now. I can just see the Usos sneaking this, though, by a dodgy roll-up or something. I think they'll be on the back, they'll be struggling, and, but then I can see them pinning Rick Boogs and maybe just by a roll-up. But, yeah, I'm just going to say the Usos will retain, and then hopefully they lose it soon after WrestleMania to a fresher team, really. But, no, this is a good team to challenge them because it is unexpected, and I can see Nakamura and Boogs win, and I probably hope they do, to be honest, but I just think the Usos are going to sneak this one, whether that be, probably by a roll-up or something like that, or by some sort of dodgy tactics. But yeah, I'm going to go Usos to retain in that one, and then they'll probably be at ringside, possibly for the match in Lesnar versus Reigns. We have another tag match on night one, The New Day versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch, also known as Pete Dunne. Again, very much a filler match. Doesn't really seem like it belongs at WrestleMania. Yeah, who do you think is going to win this one?
I think The New Day, there's not really much to build this. There's not really much hype around this. So it's not a match I'm that particularly looking forward to and thinking I can't wait to see this match. In my opinion, the 2 other tag matches come before this. In my opinion, like popularity and excitement. So overall, I'm not really looking forward to this. It's not really something I'm caring about in a way. You want to care about the matches. I think a New Day easy win. I think I can see it being on the pre-show, to be fair, or at least very early on in the match and just get it over and done with. I think it's just to have a filler match and have them guys, a match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, see, for me, what WrestleMania misses is that red hot start when you had a Money in the Bank match to kick things off. That was what I always loved during IC title ladder match. I think that now with this 2 nights thing, they seem to have matches to start the show which don't really get the crowd going. Again, this is a match, probably the most least interesting match on the night one. I'm actually going to go with, it's tough to call, to be honest. I think I can possibly see the New Day winning, but then Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch doing a post-match beatdown, maybe, on Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I can probably see that happening, to be fair. So, yeah, that's my prediction. I think a New Day will win, and then there'll be a post-match beatdown from the others. Yeah, I can see that, but obviously with it being WrestleMania, who knows in that sense. But now we do move on to 2 interesting matches, a final 2 on night one. Firstly, Seth Rollins. We don't know who his opponent's going to be yet. It's been a story for a while. Is Seth Rollins going to WrestleMania? He is. Vince McMahon will choose his opponent. So, Callum, who do you think the opponent's going to be, and what do you think the result will be?
There's a few options. I mean, there's very few rumors, and there's been quite a few bad rumors of that as well. There's talks of Shane McMahon since he returned at the Rumble. I saw that today, and I dread God no hope not. Well, I think both our reaction when he came out number 27 at the Rumble was brilliant, and we hated it, along with most of that match. There's also talks of Kane possibly having one last match, and I can't see that happening either. But the main one, which I think we're all massive pop, him returning after, I think, 5-6 years absence from, the company. A much bigger star, in my opinion, can definitely future champion if they do it right. So I think my prediction is with Cody Rhodes and Cody Rhodes to win. It's the obvious choice, but I think it's the right choice. I wouldn't want it any other way, in my opinion.
Yeah, you actually cut off a bit there, so I'm glad you said Cody Rhodes. You did cut out during that, but yeah, no, good thing though that you got it in. So Cody Rhodes is, Shane McMahon would be dreadful. I hope that doesn't happen. Like, that will be the worst. Not Kane. I think he's been out of the company too long. I don't think Kane will have a good match now with Rollins either. So hopefully not for that reason. We've already seen a feud between them 2 years ago as well, so I wouldn't want that. It's tough. Cody Rhodes for me would be an obvious choice. I'm just thinking with how he left WWE and the way he's been. I mean, I was thinking possibly Dean Ambrose, but then I looked and then he's actually doing really well in AEW, and there's no way he's come back to the company so soon after leaving on pretty bad terms as well. So I think Cody Rhodes is the obvious one. One person I'm potentially thinking is The Undertaker, because he never got a proper send-off in front of people. I mean, it wouldn't be great. And if anyone can carry him to a good match, so it's probably Seth Rollins. But I am going to, I'm actually going to go The Undertaker. That's very ambitious, and it probably won't happen. And I actually think that Undertaker will, I hope Seth Rollins wins, believe it or not, just because I don't think Undertaker needs it. But if he does return, it's probably going to be an Undertaker win. But hopefully, because his send-off was obviously last year at Survivor Series in front of nobody. So I'm thinking they might bring him out for one more match, maybe. And then obviously Rollins will, Rollins. I'm going to go take it to win if so, but I hope it's Rollins. But yeah, that's probably not going to happen, but that's what I'm going to predict. So yeah.
Also, I'm going to quickly throw another name out into the hat. Just kind of, if it happens, it's brilliant. I'm going to say it could be a possible Cena return. He hasn't had a wrestle, he hasn't been around for a while. He always has a spot on Mania. This could be his spot. We know, him and Vince are close, like this, him and Taker. There's a possibility there, it could happen. We thought about the Rumble, we could come back, but it's a name I just thought I'd throw out there just as a safety barrier, really.
If Cena does come back, I do definitely think Rollins needs to win, though. If it's Cena, if it's Undertaker, fans won't mind taking, but if it's Cena, Rollins definitely needs to win. But yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, then again, I was excited about who Braun Strowman's partner was going to be at WrestleMania, and it was a kid. So, I'm learning not to get too excited. One very, very ambitious name as well is The Rock, but I don't think that will happen. But that's a very ambitious name that it could be, and that is a dream match as well. Seth Rollins with The Rock. So That would certainly be good, but I can't see it being that personally. And now we move on to the main event of night one, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And despite, our feelings towards Charlotte, Cal, we've got to say this could be match of the night, to be honest, and it could be the match of the weekend. We know that Ronda could go last time she was in the company, and Charlotte, despite her being very overpowered, is a very good wrestler. So I think you're probably looking at a good match. But what's your prediction?
I'm going to say Rousey win. I think it's kind of obvious she's going to go down the winning route of this. I can see it happening, but I do agree that it will be match night one. I know I'm not going to say match night, so we'll get into that in a bit, but overall, I think it's going to be a very good match. I'm very surprised, and I'm be the first to admit I'm not a Charlotte Flair fan, as you well know. But I think, in the ring, that is where she does her talking. I think she's a very good technical wrestler, very good submission specialist, just like Rousey is. I think it's going to be a back and forth who's going to get each other into submissions and who is going to really come out on top. I think Rousey is going to win it after the big Royal Rumble return. But I think this will be night one, and can see it being, a really good main event for night one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Ronda win as well. I think it's the only way. I think that it'll be good if Charlotte, it'll be a good match, and hopefully, Charlotte doesn't really need any sort of thing from if she loses. It won't really affect her stock too much, but I definitely think Ronda's got to win this, but I do think they should make it a great match. Obviously, Charlotte did end Asuka's undefeated streak a few years ago in what was a pretty underwhelming match overall. It was a good match, but it wasn't a classic by any means. But yeah, I think the triple threat that they had for the main event 3 years ago obviously was good, but the ending kind of ruined it really. But it should be a good match. I'm definitely going to go with a Ronda win. That's the only thing you can really get here and then. But hopefully they give it about half an hour, and it's a very, very good match, which we all know it's capable of being. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go for, Ronda win, and I think it'll be by submission inevitably as well. So yeah, that's our round off for night one. We're going to get into night two now, and we're going to start with a fatal four-way tag match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And we're going to go, it's Queen Zelina and Carmella who are champions, Sasha Banks and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. A lot of people in this match, to be fair, Callum. Who are you thinking?
There's a few options you can go. You can go down with, the clear favourites, which is my opinion, Sasha Banks and Naomi. But then you've also got, Liv Morgan and
Rhea Ripley.
That's the one. Thank you. I'd much rather see them win than Sasha Banks again and Naomi. I think, I want to see an upcoming like Liv Morgan win her first title. I think, Rhea Ripley's the person to do that. 2 former NXT, champions and very good wrestlers in my opinion as well. So I think overall they're my pick to win. I think it's going to be a very open match. I think, it's a very just get into the swing of it all, and I can't see it being much more than 10 minutes, a few near falls and probably a roll up to finish it off. But I think, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley is my favourites to win this.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on this one, Callum. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to go with the same as you. I think Rhea Ripley and Liv, I can see Rhea Ripley having a bit of a dominance in this match at one point as well. I think I can possibly see Queen Zelina and Carmella getting a sneaky win by a roll-up, especially with Carmella's thing with Corey Gracious got going out at the moment. I'm not saying that's a reason why I should win, but it might just be for advertisement's sake. They want her as one of the champions, which will be tag, of course. Sasha Banks has actually never won at WrestleMania, though. She's actually 0-6, I think. So they might want to change that. So that's another reason why her and Naomi could win. And I don't think Natalya and Shayna Baszler will win. I don't really see why they'd make them win. But yeah, I think Liv Morgan deserves something. She's been very good recently. And obviously she was ended last year very well and had that title shot against Becky as well. And I'm going to say Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, but I think it's going to be a bit of a car crash match. This will be like 10 minutes and it'll be all over the place. And I think they'll make it like quite quick, but there'll be a lot of big spots in there. So yeah, but I'm going to go with the win, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan as well. Next up, we have Johnny Knoxville v Sami Zayn. Anything goes match. Not really much you can say about this. This feud's been bubbling up for quite a while now, I think, actually. A lot can happen in this match. A lot probably will happen in this match. But yeah, Callum, who are you going for?
I think there's a lot going to happen. I think, the rest of Jackass is team are going to get involved. I think it's inevitable it's going to happen. They've been there a few times, and I can see them winning. I think, it's one of them things where I think Knoxville's going to win it, and it's one of them that Sami Zayn's I think is going to take really well and execute it perfect like he always does, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best for selling people and bringing the best out of people. I think, overall, it's one of them things where it's just going to be chair shots, tables, ladders, kendo sticks, that kind of thing. It's just literally, it's going to be anything goes. I think people are going to be flying all over the place. It's going to be one of them matches. It's going to be a laugh. And that's what you want. You want some matches that are just going to be funny and enjoyable to watch. I'm going to say Knoxville win.
Yeah, same here. I can see it being a bit of a comedy match where a lot happens, but too many people get involved, and then they cost Zayn the match. Really, it's a shame because Sami Zayn is very, very talented, but he's been in the company years now, and he's never really been used well. So I can just see him losing this as a bit of a comedy match as well. That's why I mentioned about Logan Paul earlier. I don't think he'll be the comedy sort of thing, but I think Knoxville's gonna win this one somehow. It'll be some sort of like shenanigans, and he'll pick up a win, I reckon. Next up, we have Pat McAfee v Austin Theory. Actually, a match that, as weird as it is, I'm quite excited for. I mean, I love Pat McAfee on commentary, but I do think it'd be good to see him in the ring. And fair to Austin Theory, I don't think he's that bad. He's got a weird gimmick, but he's not too bad in the ring. I think this won't be a classic match, especially because McAfee's not been in the ring for so long. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one. Who are you going for?
I'm going to say Pat McAfee. I think, it's going to do the job. It's going to finish I don't think it's going to be a long match. It's a filler match, but an exciting filler match. It's what you want. It's something different. You don't want to see, two guys you see every week go at it on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. It's something different. It's something fresh. And it's a chance to really just, have a sit back and relax match. It's not going to be entertaining as such as drama and everything, but it's going to do the job. That's what you want. So I'm going to say Pat McAfee win.
Yeah, I won't say it's a toilet break match. It's a filler match, but it's an exciting filler where you're interested to see what happens. I'm going to also go with the Pat McAfee win. It'd be very weird if they brought him back just to lose, to be honest. So yeah, I'm sure that he might not wrestle full time after this, but I am going to go with a Pat McAfee win, and I hope he does stay on commentary, to be fair. So I do like him on there. So I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be like 10 minutes, maybe even less than that. But I do think Pat McAfee will win. And next we move into the Raw Tag Team Championships. RK Bro with the champions be Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Of course, you are Chad Gable and Otis. It's been, like you said, about people facing for every week. This has been a very repetitive feud on Raw, really. So it's a kind of, don't really know why we're seeing it at WrestleMania, but at least it gives the Raw Tag Championship something. So, yeah, who are you saying in this one?
I'm going to say the Street Profits and Riddle to turn heel. It's a big, to lead up to a SummerSlam match, in my opinion. I think he's going to get really annoyed at Randy. I think Randy's then going to be out for a few months. Riddle's going to go on this heel run and start bloating. Randy's going to come back and they're going to have a SummerSlam feud. That is my dream and hopefully prediction. I think the way Randy, showed him his soft side the other week against Riddle, calling him his friend, and it's the most fun he's had in years. It showed that, in my opinion, Randy's not going to turn heel. And it was kind of who's going to turn on who. I think they've been together over a year now. I think it's been up to about a year, or they've kind of definitely been a long time. I can see Riddle finally turning and having that massive main event push he deserves. In my opinion, I think Randy's the guy to do it. I know Randy wants to slow down a bit and kind of not do as many matches a year now. I think this is the time to do it. He has a rest after Mania, pretending to be injured, comes back, and they have this really good match at SummerSlam. So that's my prediction. Yeah,
I hope that's true what you've said, to be honest. That sounds good. I was hoping that'd be it for WrestleMania. I was hoping the Royal Rumble, we'd get a little bit of a, we'd obviously get a big turn at the Royal Rumble maybe, but obviously I am going to go RK Bro to win this match, and I think now they'll go on a little bit longer, but I do think a heel turn is coming. I hope it's for Riddle, because we've seen Randy turn heel a lot of times on partners. So I agree. I hope it's Riddle who does turn heel, and it gives Riddle's character a different dimension as well. But I am going to go RK Bro to retain here. I don't really see why Street Profits or Alpha Academy would win. It wouldn't even be so bad if they do win RK Bro and then the heel turn happens after the match. Now, that has happened at WrestleMania, obviously, with Nakamura and AJ Styles, and that was obviously when they were facing each other, but that was very good. But yeah, I do think that, I do think that should happen, really. I think RK Bro to win, and I don't think they'll turn on each other at Mania personally, but I won't be against seeing it happen. But yeah, for me, an RK Bro win's the only thing I'd like to see happen here. Before we get into the next match, I just want to actually, no, we'll do the next match first. So, Bobby Lashley versus Hamas. I mean, obviously, Bobby Lashley just returned, I believe, on Raw this past week. Obviously, facing against Hamas, who's now on a singles run. Yeah, who do you think is going to win this one?
I think Lashley. I think it's not. Isn't it going to be just a match to show Lashley's strength? You always sit with a big man at WrestleMania. He's going to dominate, and then Lashley will put in a submission and end it. Really, I can't really see. I'm not that excited for it. It sounds weird to say Bobby Lashley's going to be a filler match. I can see it being one of them this year. Sadly, I'm sorry to say for Lashley, but I think he's a brilliant wrestler. I really like his person, but it's nothing that exciting for me this year.
Unfortunately, I'm going to go with Hamas to win. I don't know why. I know he's just returned Lashley, but my reason behind it is they're just bigging Hamas up a lot and not being knocked off his feet. I can see Lashley giving it a go, but I generally do think somehow that they're going to make Hamas win. I hope I'm wrong, and this is a prediction I hope I do totally get wrong, but I'm just going to go with Hamas. It reminds me a bit of when Kane faced the Great Khali at WrestleMania 23. It's just a match that you're just not looking forward to because the people involved, like as in, I like Lashley and he's done very well the last couple of years, to be fair to him, but I just don't like his. I just don't think they're going to make Hamas lose so soon. I hope they do. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Lashley wins in about 2 or 3 minutes and they just end the feud there. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to go with an Hamas win. Before I get on to the next bit, I'm not sure if this is on night 1 or 2, but I want to ask about Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think the Kevin Owens things have been really funny the last few weeks when he's been obviously having a bald cap on. I don't think this will lead to a match. I don't really think Stone Cold's in the condition to have a match, but what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the inevitable is Stone Cold stunner by Austin, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a comedy part maybe where even Owens might even get the upper hand?
I think it's just going to be, them chatting for a while, having a bit of, talk back and forth, and then the stunner. I can't really see anything else in his hometown, his return. There's nothing really to like. I enjoy it. It's something different, and I think Owens is doing really well on a comedy side. But I think it's Stone Cold, and I think the fans will get what they want, and I can't really see the fans wanting Stone Cold to get his ass kicked, really. So I think it's gonna be this, just a normal talk show and then ending in badly, really.
Yeah, I agree. I can't really see anything other than just Stone Cold sitting a stunner and having a bit of fun. I can't really see Owens getting the better of him in his hometown. He's not obviously 19 years since he retired now, so don't think he'll have a match unless they build it up for another time. But I really can't see them bringing Austin back, and hopefully Austin says no, because I don't like it when they bring people out of retirement. Shawn Michaels. Yeah, and Edge versus AJ Styles. Now, good build, very interesting Edge gimmick going on right now. AJ Styles, though, I think he's a face at the moment. I think Edge is a heel. I can't really work it out, but yeah. What are you going to say about this one, Edge v AJ Styles? Are you saying?
So this has been one of my dream matches since AJ came back. I think Edge are such brilliant wrestlers. Love the business. I like Edge's new gimmick. I'm not a fan he changes music, but that's me. But it's it's iconic for Edge's old music. But I think these two are going to be match of the weekend. I can see it going 40 minutes. It's going to be one of them back and forward, real classic WrestleMania matches. I can't see them two not wanting it to go any other way. They're both such talented wrestlers and both love massive pops and massive matches. I can see it being one of them. I don't think they'd want it any other way between them both. So I can see it being match of the weekend, and I can see Edge winning. I think Edge is going to have this heel run now and, possibly carry it on. I think, Edge's heel's the best version of him. And I just really, really like, the whole... I don't think this will be the last match. I think they're going to feud at, whatever pay-per-views next. I think it's like Extreme Rules or something along, Backlash, that kind of thing. So that's my prediction. I think Edge is going to win, but it's not going to be the end of the feud.
See, I'm going to go with AJ Styles to win this. I think that Edge has won quite a lot since coming back, which makes me think that because he's won a few matches against the likes of Seth Rollins, and obviously he also obviously had the feud with Reigns, which he did lose. But I've got a feeling that AJ's going to win. I do think the feud will continue. I agree with you. But I just think Edge has had a lot of momentum in this feud, and obviously he attacked AJ quite badly. So I can see AJ getting his win, but I think it'll be more of a sneaky win where like he hits him out of nowhere with probably a phenomenal forearm or something, and then gets the win. But then I can see the feud going on and Edge maybe getting the win back and then them having a rubber match. But yeah, I'm actually going to go with an AJ win. I think AJ needs it as well. He's not really been a single star for a little while now, and I really like AJ's new gimmick, and it's a bit fresh. And obviously now he's a face again as well. And then we move on to the main event, which has obviously been bigged up as the main event for a while. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns has been Universal Champion since August 2020. So that is how long he's been champion for now. Brock Lesnar, though, obviously has come back. And to be fair, it's probably been the best version of Lesnar I think we've seen for years. It's been so refreshing. He's been very entertaining. I like the Paul Heyman angle as well. Like, I don't really get why Reigns beat him up and he's still with him. But, you know, other than that, it's been very good. I've got the Paul Heyman things there. I'm very struggling to call this one. Interesting what you think, Callum.
It can go 50-50. You know, this is to unify the championships, which I don't like personally, but it gives it a different dynamic. And I think, you know, something's going to happen after the match. There's two ways I can go. I can go Lesnar win, you know, simple and done. Or, no, this is a big or. We saw a few years ago the once in a lifetime match between Cena and The Rock. I think, well, this could be a possibility. Reigns wins, The Rock comes out and challenges him for just the one title. There and then. They build it in them for another year. So they do what they did with Cena. They have it like a year in preparation for it. And at the next WrestleMania, possibly, you know, The Rock wins it. That is another option. Or you can go down, The Rock wins it there and then on the night just before the show ends. That's my two options. I'm going to go with option A. I think option B is a way too far-fetched, but it's an option. So I'm going to say Lesnar win. See,
I've also got something far-fetched in mind. I was actually going to go for a Reigns win. Hopefully not by screwy shenanigans, because we've seen that already in the match at Crown Jewel. I was going to say, what if Vince McMahon comes out and Seth Rollins on the first night and goes, your opponent is nobody. And then the next night, he actually inserts him into a triple threat match with them both. That would be a bit of a nostalgia.
A bit like how it was a few years ago.
From WrestleMania 31, where they can always say he didn't lose to Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. This probably won't happen, but it's something that would be great if he comes out on night one and goes, Seth Rollins' opponent is nobody, basically trolling him. And Rollins then goes crazy. And then on night two, he puts him in the match. That's what I'd love to see, because it would be a bit of nostalgia. And then Rollins obviously to win as well if that happened. But if it just goes to one-on-one and nothing really happens, I hope there is a twist in there, because we need to see something to spark. Because this is the third time we've seen it at Mania now. And I know we had the cash in at 31, but 34 was a disaster, mainly because of Roman's gimmick. They've built the feud up so much. But I'm going to go with, I can see Brock destroying the Usos in the match as well. I can see him destroying them, like when they come out, and that'll take them out of the equation. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with a Lesnar win, but I'm going to go with a Lesnar win, actually. I can't call it. I'm switching between the two so much, but if the Rollins thing doesn't happen, I'm going to go with a Lesnar win, actually, because Roman's been champion way too long. He's already beaten Brock at Crown Jewel, so I don't think they'll make him lose twice, especially if it's clean. And like I say, I can even see the Usos. I mean, I know I predicted them to win on night one, but if they didn't, I could see him like injuring the Usos as well for a while. So I could see him like taking them out of action for a little while. But yeah, I'm gonna go with a Lesnar win then. But I mean, I hope something happens and there's a twist. But yeah, but that's all the predictions though, Callum. Just before we round up though, I'm just going to ask you anyway. With WrestleMania coming up and fans being fully back in attendance for the first time since WrestleMania 35, what is your favorite ever WrestleMania, like all round show and match?
It's a good question. Favorite show? There's a few. WrestleMania 24. in my opinion, was a really good WrestleMania. You know, you had Ric Flair's final match. The Undertaker versus Edge match was good. Cena, Orton, and Triple H was brilliant. You had the Money in the Bank with CM Punk winning. I think that was really good. So I'm going to say that as my favorite WrestleMania. My favorite match. There's been a few. I'm going to say Bret Hart versus Steve Austin. I think, you know, you watch that back and it's such a good, well-structured match. The feud was brilliant, and the ending was completely different what you expected. So I'm going to say them two as that was my favorite match of all time at WrestleMania.
That's a great call, because that's a match that kind of goes under the radar a bit for the double turn during the match as well, where obviously Austin turned face and Bret turned heel. So that obviously started off Austin's run as, you know, the main eventer in the company. So yeah. And that was also Bret Hart's last Mania match, bar that absolutely dreadful one against Vince McMahon at 26, which I'd rather forget about. My favourite show's tough. I mean, I'm a big fan of Mania 21 because that's when I first started watching wrestling. And I remember watching Raw when Batista did the thumbs up, thumbs down, and that built to that feud. And see, for me, that was because obviously back then when you're a bit young, you don't really get the whole like face and heel turn. But for me, that was like, because they built to that turn so well, Batista. And it was because everyone thought it'd be Randy Orton to face Triple H at Mania. But obviously for it to be Batista and the way he turned for me. And the match wasn't great at Mania, admittedly. It was good that Batista got his win and ended Triple H's reign of terror. But for me, the match that night was Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels. See, that was just like, that was a dream match that I think when Shawn returned in 2002, we all wanted to see. And that just tore the house down. But in terms of favourite Mania, I'm going to give it to, it's really tough, actually. I'm going to say, I'm a big fan of 31 as well, but I'm going to say overall 21 for me just always holds a special place because of, mainly just because of like, you know, the quality of match and the quality of feuds going into it. John Cena won his first title that night. Edge won Money in the Bank. It was a taste of the future. Undertaker and Randy had one of the best on a very underrated streak match as well, where for me, Randy really made a name for himself. But in terms of match of in terms of like favorite match ever at Mania, I don't want to be predictable and go Taker v Shawn Michaels at Mania 25 because everyone says that. So I'm actually going to go with I'm actually going to go with Kurt Angle v Shawn Michaels at Mania 21 because I generally think it's got to be a Shawn Michaels match because most of them are absolutely amazing, and that one for me it was just incredible, like the match and the way it was. And it was just a Mania match that was a dream, and it really lived up to it as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that one. But, that's all we've got time for anyway, Callum. But can't wait for this weekend. Let's hope it's a good show. I mean, obviously, last couple of Manias have been, you know, unfortunate. One had no fans and the other one had a short crowd. But last year, Triple Threat was very good between Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman Reigns. So hopefully we get a good main events on both nights this year as well. But that's all we've got time for anyway, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully you can join us on our live stream of WrestleMania 38 this weekend. But we will see you all soon.